One of the things I think about when I'm thinking of just defensive driving in general is the ability to anticipate, like you were saying, something that might happen 5 seconds down the road. And I guess it's a challenge for new students to driving because they really don't have that full set of possibilities, in their minds. So it's got to be a challenge. I mean, how do you approach that?
So anticipate. So I always ask my students, what do they do? Do they are they involved in sports, activities, hobbies, whatever they may do? So how can you help them with anticipation? For example, I had my one student. I asked him, I said, "What do you do?" He says, and he was struggling. He was struggling with how much to process, struggling with just staring at one spot. And I said, "You play sports?" He says, "Yeah." I said, "What sport?" He says, "Football." I'm like, "Oh, what position?" He says, "Quarterback." I'm like, "Wait a minute, you're a quarterback?" He says, "Yeah." I said, "So let me ask you a question. If you were to stare at one of your receivers the entire game, what would happen?" "Well, I get picked off every time. I'd throw interceptions." I said, "But what do you do?" He says, "Well, I'm always scanning the field." And I said, "Well, this is your field. You've got to be able to keep those eyes moving." And Rich, when I tell you I watched his body language change, he's like, "You know what? That makes sense." So to me, that's an aha moment where they realize they already have those skills because of what they do, and now you can apply them into the car. Another student I have, they're in theater, and to me, standing in front of an audience, which I've done several times in my career, but in the beginning, it's overwhelming. Um, but same thing, they're scanning the audience. So I try and correlate what my students do on a daily basis and have them put it into the car. This way, it doesn't seem so foreign to them. How do you anticipate? You got to be looking all the way down the road, not just at the license plate of the car in front of you. You got to be checking your mirrors, your side view mirrors, your rear view mirror. Um, we could do a lesson that's 90 minutes or 2 hours, and I can ask my student, "How often have you checked your rear view mirror?" And they'll be like, "Yeah, probably not as often as I should." So these are all things that they're learning. So yeah, it's a lot. So talk about deer, right? What do you know about deer? Well, they travel in packs. Where there's one, there's more. When do they come out? They come out at dusk. So having these conversations with my students, giving them the opportunity to think about, oh wow, it's more than just putting the car in drive and turn signals and lefts and rights. It's a big responsibility.